Hello there. Today is December 7th, and this is Gypsy Spirit. And welcome to my new show, The Third Eye Connection. This is where we will be learning a lot of things and how to open that third eye to go into some of those portals on the other side in the spirit world. So this will be a daily show, and I thank you for tuning in. And we'll have different topics. We'll learn about a lot of different things. We'll also learn to do a little bit of tarot reading. I have so many clients that want to learn that, and I've tried so many different ways to teach it through video and all that. So I thought, why not just do it this way? So let's go ahead and get started. Our topic today is the full moon, because guess what? It's a full moon tonight. And lots of things are happening during the full moon. This is a wonderful time. What is the full moon about? You know, we have the full moon and we have the new moon. But the full moon, when it comes around the beginning of the month, it means that is a time that you're to release all the energy or beliefs or whatever it is, energies that are holding you down, keeping you from moving further in your life. And I'm going to show you a little full moon ritual. We'll talk about that. But you know, about a year ago, sometimes I get a little restless, and I'm an artist at heart. My media is a little bit of everything. And one day I just spent a whole week just making up these oracle cards, if you will. And one day I'll have them transferred into real oracle cards. One day when that's another project, right? But right now, what I did was I found some 5x7. I think they're 5x7. They might be a little bigger. I think it's 5x7 canvases. And I covered them with fabrics. And I used to own a vintage clothing store, and so I've always collected vintage clothing and knickknacks here and there, jewelry and feathers and things. I tear clothes apart and take embellishments off of dresses and add them to something new. But anyway, I made 12 beautiful pictures, and this is the one that I chose for tonight for the full moon, and it says release it. I hope that you can see it. I mean, I know you can see it, but I don't know if the lettering is backwards or not, but it says release it. And it's really beautiful. I have some little like stones and pearls from an old necklace, peacock feathers and shells, and it's a cameo, and I don't know, this came from an old dress of some kind. And of course I decorated the card. And so we're talking about releasing. Releasing what? Releasing energy that is no longer serving us. And there may be things that you want to manifest, things that you want to do. It could be business, could be relationship. It could be many things that you want to see to bring into your life. But in order to be able to do that, you've got to get rid of any energy from your past or your recent that just kind of got into you and has stuck with you. You have to get rid of that energy so that you can bring in a new energy on the new moon to be able to manifest the things that you want. And as time goes on, this will make a lot more sense to you. So I looked up, let's talk about what release means. And I wrote something that actually goes with my card that I made. But you know, while you're manifesting new things into your life, you have no room for the negative thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors that keep holding you down. Regardless if it is something recent or from the past, You must release whatever is not bringing you peace and happiness. The full moon encourages us to release it. I'm going to tell you a story about myself, a dream that I had last night, and I interpret dreams. And actually, this was, you ever have those dreams where you wake up and you're kind of happy, you're in a good mood? I got sick back in January and have not been able to hold it. I can't work a job. I mean, I do my work with my metaphysical stuff. I've been doing that, and I've always been able to pay my rent, always been able to pay my bills. But something happened, I got into fear mode because business got really slow in October, and then November it got really, really slow and left me to a point where I couldn't pay my rent on time for December. And it really freaked me out. I mean, I called my landlord and everything and worked everything out with him. But last night I had a dream. And I'm 61, but when I was around, I don't know, 28 or 29, in my early 30s, I was a single mom to a small child. I lived in a rundown trailer, and I had a nice landlord. But anyway, and my rent was $350 a month. Can you believe that? But I remember at that time in my life, I always was in fear. I mean, I just had this energy of fear of never having enough money to pay my rent. I always had this fear that my son and I were going to be homeless. And that just really, really scared me more than anything. And I mean, I went to school. I was going to the College of Charleston, and I was working like 2 or 3 jobs at a time, and I still it just never seemed to be enough money and I didn't spend money wisely either. I mean, I threw away a lot of money, and I was young and, still partying and that sort of thing. So, I just always lived my life in that fear. And last night, I was really upset that I wasn't able to pay my rent. And so I even called my landlord. And I just want you to know that I always pay my rent. This is very, very upsetting to me. And I just went on down. He was pretty cool about it. But last night I had a dream. And in the dream, I had a little red car. And when I lived in the trailer back in the early 90s, I had a little red car. It was a little Mitsubishi Mirage. And anyway, I drove up to the trailer that I used to live in, and the last person that lived there was me. And you could still see some of the remnants or the debris that I had left behind. It had never been cleaned because nobody lived there. And you know how, like, when you leave a place, when you move and you leave, the trash on the floor and things you don't want, sometimes you'll leave it. Well, when I went into the living room of this trailer, things had been left, like the debris and the trash, where I swept everything in one pile or whatever. It was still all there. And I went into one of the rooms, and I used to own a vintage clothing store, and I love vintage clothes. And but I don't really wear them much anymore. I make things with them, but don't really do much with them. And in the dream, I had gone into my closet, and there was about, I don't know, 6 or 8 pieces of vintage clothing, our old clothing that I had left behind. And I went and I looked at it, and I remember in the dream there was something that I was really attracted to, and I put it in my hand, and I was holding it, thinking maybe I want to keep this. And at some point in the dream, I was like, nah, and I put it back. And there was a long coat that I had that had some sparkles on it, and I wasn't interested in taking it. In the dream, I was considering moving back into this trailer. And for some reason or another, I put the vintage, each piece of vintage clothing that I pulled off the rack in the closet, I looked at it and I put it back. And for some reason, I just turned around and I looked at some of the debris and what was left, and I was like, nah, I'm not coming back. I don't want to come back here. And when I went out to get in my car and leave, there was a guy in my car, and he was telling me how he was going to report me to the owner of the trailer, and that I was breaking and entering. I said, I'm not breaking and entering. I don't care. You can call him if you want. I don't care. But what that dream signified, and this is the reason why I'm telling you this, I lived in a lot of fear back in that day, and I have a successful business, but for my business to be really successful, I have to let go of all of those fears. I can't go back to where I was when I lived in that trailer, where I lived in fear all the time about my rent and about being put on the street. So when I went back, those the vintage clothing represented the clothes that I wore back then, the skin that I was in back then, that skin of fear, and I put that back up on the rack in the closet and said, nah, I don't think I want this. And I walked out. So what that dream signified was, it's time. The universe was telling me, because the universe let me see and feel what that fear is. I felt it again when I couldn't pay the rent on time this month. And I felt it, and the universe let me feel it, so that something needed to click, and I needed to remove whatever energy, whatever fear that I had, and move forward with my business and to be successful. And because when we live in fear, even if we're in fear about in fear, like what have been in fear about, being put out on the street or whatever. And I've never been put on the street. I've never been evicted. So maybe this has something to do with a past life. Maybe in a past life I was evicted or had a hard time living in a place and moved around a lot. I move around a lot now. That's why I go by the name Gypsy Spirit, because they say I have the spirit of a gypsy. I swear to God, I think my grandmother was a real gypsy, because they moved all the time. But what I'm saying is that it's like the universe allowed me to go through this so that I could release myself of that fear. And when we have fear, I don't care what the fear is of, it blocks us on other levels of our life. It was blocking me with my business. There were other things, and I sat back and I thought about it, because I was like, you know what? There are things that I could have done this in the month of November to be able to pay my rent on time. But I was letting this fear just overtake me, and I didn't have the motivation or I was just blocked in moving forward. And it was all wrapped around this fear. So what universe was telling me that, yeah, you got to get rid of this fear. So when I went into that trailer and I looked around and looked at all the mess and looked at the clothes, I walked away. I made a conscious decision. I walked away and said, no, I don't want this. And so maybe that's why I was in such a good mood, with the dream, because today has just been a wonderful day. I went and read tarot for a lovely woman. We sat in a coffee shop and just had a lovely time. And then I had a wonderful lunch that I had prepared for my son and I, and then we went to somewhere, and it was just beautiful, and the day was just beautiful. So sometimes dreams will do that to you. So I was so grateful to be able to connect with that. You know, when we dream, we are our soul, which is our higher divine, is connecting with our spirit. The spirit is what lives in us, and the spirit is what has feelings, emotions, and all that that we go through. The body is just the vessel, but the spirit, you know, our mind, our hearts, all connected together. And that's what communicates with the soul, the higher divine. So my spirit got the message in the dream that I didn't want to, in order to overcome this, I had to release that energy. And I will, but the universe was showing me what I needed to know. And yes, the universe will use dreams, our subconscious, we are communicated. We get a lot of messages, and a lot of times it's in dreams. I know for me it is. For other people, I talk to people all the time. Some people tell me they don't dream. Maybe they get messages in other ways. But for me, it was, in this particular instance, it was the dream. And I walked away because I have the power to walk away and say, no, I don't want this energy anymore. I don't want to live my life in fear. I don't like feeling this way. So, I hope some of you get the message that I'm trying to put out in the story. So, what do we do during the full moon? We release that energy that we no longer want, whether it be a belief, behavior, or thoughts, negative behavior, whatever. You want to release it. So I'm going to teach you today how to do a full moon ritual and how to release whatever it is you don't want in your life anymore. And we're going to start out, I'm going to do the whole 9 yards with you. I'm going to start out where we're going to use some full moon herbs. We do talk about herbs in this show, and I show you how to work with them. And no, we're not going to use charcoals. I make, they're actually meditation herbs, but you can use it for this as well whenever you want to do a candle ritual, full moon candle ritual. But I use herbs. The herbs are frankincense, rose, hyssop, orange, and sage. And I sell these little packets. I have a website. You can go to my website. It's listed in the box below, gypsyspiritcharleston.com. And I have these. They come in these little packets right here, and this is the label. This is a label. I took the label off to use this, but anyway, this is the label that I have. And this is the full moon meditation herbs. But usually, if you're meditating on the full moon, and you can also use this as well as you're burning your candle. But I have I give you 3 tablets. I think these are like $10 or something on my website, and I'll ship them to you. I just don't ship out of the United States. So if you live in the United States, we're cool. But you know, I'll show you how to light these things. They're pretty easy. And of course, I have a little package, and you just need a little pinch of this stuff of the frankincense, rose, hyssop, orange, and sage. So let's go ahead and get started on how to do this ritual. You're going to need a black candle, and I like these little chime candles. And whenever you're doing candle ritual with the full moon, you want to carve from the bottom here all the way here to where it goes out. If you're doing it during the new moon, it would be the opposite, because you're new moon, you're pulling in energy, but we're removing energy. So I have financial fears. So for me, I would write that I want to release all my fears in regards to finances. So I take a toothpick, okay, and I will write the way that you can write it, R, and then, you can write it going downwards, E, L, E, A, S, E. So I wrote release all the way down here. I know you can't see it much. Financial fears. And I will, move over a little bit, and I'll just carve in financial fears. And tomorrow we're going to do a quick money spell. So you want to tune in tomorrow. A friend of mine gave it to me. Financial fears. And we might put her on the phone tomorrow. So I have written in remove financial fears. And I wrote it from the bottom moving towards the top of the wick, okay? So then what you're going to need is you'll take a little bit of, this is even, you'll take I use olive oil or whatever oil you have, and you just need just a little tiny bit, like here. You don't need a lot. About that much. See? About that much. Maybe just a tad more. Okay, there we go. And I would say that, what is that? Like maybe half a teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon maybe. And I just kind of like roll it around. This is a flat little plate. And then I don't have a napkin. Should have got a napkin with me, but anyway. And then I take my herbs and I put it in the oil because it gets nice and sticky in the oil. And so I'll show you. Just, you don't really need a whole lot. And the other thing is, I want to tell you is, it's always about the intention. So if your intentions are good, and if it doesn't stick, and this is not sticking, I think because the orange pieces are, let me see if I can get some crumbs. Some like really small pieces. There we go. Put it back in here. And it's okay if you have some pieces laying on the plate that don't quite make it on the candle. It's all right. And I'm going to add just a little bit more olive oil to this. But when doing candle work or any kind of spell casting, rituals, whatever, it's really more about the intention, and that's with everything you do, even like with tarot readings. It's always about the intention. What is it you're trying to do? Now, let me warn you about something. If somebody, I get people all the time asking me, they want me to do a spell on somebody else and that sort of thing. You got to be really careful with that, because you only want to put out good intentions, good things for other people. Because let me tell you something, karma is real, and it is a real bitch. I need to get something, a paper towel or something to wipe my hands, because now I got oil all over the place. So excuse me for just a moment. I see a paper towel over here. All right. Get some of that off of me. Okay, so now we're back. All right, so now I've got my candle all dressed. And yes, that is what it's called, dressing the candle. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so I got my candle dressed. It's got its oil and everything all over it. I really need to get a clean plate for this, but anyway, I'll put it on top of that. So what you're going to do now is you're going to light your candle, and you also want to be in a place where there's no ventilation. So I don't have any fans. The AC is not on, or the heat's not on. And what you're going to do is you're just going to, melt some of the wax onto this, okay, so that you can stand the candle up. And also, I guess I need to tell the audience here, because there's going to be that one person that thinks that they can walk away from the candle and leave it unattended, with an open flame. Don't do that, okay? That's a good way to start a fire. So do not have an open flame near any kind of curtains or anything that could catch on fire. And to be honest with you, when I do it on these plates, I double plate. See, I have 2 plates. And the reason why is because I have it on a wooden table, and then last time I didn't have this on 2 plates. I just had it on 1 plate, and it got really hot, and the heat actually put a burn spot on my table. So if you're doing it on a plate, a ceramic plate like this, you might want to use 2. I like to use one of the things that I do, and I didn't have any with me, but a lot of times I will use I'll go into the dollar store, and you can get aluminum muffin pans, and I will cut like one of the circle pieces, and I will use that. So anyway, these candles burn quite fast, especially when you're using the oil. So my candle is dressed and it's burning, and when you are doing this ritual, you really want to meditate and just visualize that fear just leaving. Release that fear to the universe. Just let it go and visualize the universe just pulling it, and visualize it just floating up to the full moon, and the full moon absorbing it and giving it away to the full moon. So I was going to show you about these tablets, because I do sell the tablets with my herbs, and a lot of people don't know how to use them, which is okay, because I didn't know how to use them either. But I know how to use them because there was a time in my life that I enjoyed smoking hookah. I don't smoke hookah anymore, but there was a time that I really liked it. So here we go. This is all you do when you're using these tablets. And these tablets, like I said, are really great for meditation. I'm going to show you how to do that. But all you do is you light these tablets, and I let it light for a little while, and you see the sparking. That means that the tablet has taken it. I'll do it a little bit more so maybe you can see. But once it takes, see, it's sparkling. And once it takes, it almost looks magical, right? But once it takes, and all you do, again, you want to put it in some aluminum foil, or like maybe one of those aluminum trays. I have a cauldron that I use, but my cauldron is out on the porch right now. So then what you'll do is you'll take a little bit, just a little pinch. This has got frankincense, rose, hyssop, orange, and sage. And you'll just put some of it. Oh, and frankincense smells so beautiful when it's burning. It's a very lovely fragrance. And I can smell it already. It's already burning. And all you do is you put, hopefully this won't burn my hand, because I'm going to pick it up and show it to you. But I just fill the inside center, see? And I put it on the aluminum piece or cauldron or whatever you put it on. Make sure it's not going to burn, okay? Burn resistance. So I'll go ahead and let that burn for a little bit. So we've got this going. I'm going to let this burn, and we'll be talking about some other things as well. Another thing that you can do with a full moon, and I always forget to do this because I don't always keep up with the full moon. And just so you know, I also, and when the new moon comes, we'll talk about it, but I also make the same herbs for new moon as well. Not the same herbs, but the same thing. I do the herbs and the charcoal. And again, you can order that on my website if you want, if you don't want to make it yourself. But the new moon has frankincense, sage, lavender, mint, and chamomile. I can smell that frankincense now, and I wish you could smell it because it's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. But again, on the new moon, it's all about releasing negative energy. So years ago, it wasn't really that long ago. I guess it was about, 2 years ago, like during the time of COVID, I took care of a woman, very nice lady, but she was 96 years old. And when you get that old, I guess you get a little cranky. I'm 61, and I know I get cranky, so I can imagine at 96 you get pretty cranky. And she would get a little ornery sometimes. And I thought, I need to do something about this. This woman's making me crazy, and I couldn't burn any sage in her house. She would really get suspicious and think I was completely nuts. So what I did was I waited till the full moon, and I got some distilled water. And I soaked some sage, some white sage, because the oils will release in the water. And I sat it out overnight during the full moon. And I brought it back in the next day, and I added some essential oils. I got a little bottle, spray bottle, and I added essential oils and moonstone, because when I shake it, the moonstone will shake the oils up into the distilled sage infused water. And when I would go take care of this woman, she'd be walking in front of me, and I would take my little bottle and I'd just be spraying it. It worked wonders. But anyway, so now I make it and sell it. And the thing is sometimes I forget that it's a full moon, because I got to do it on the full moon. And a lot of times I'll forget. I'll be like, oh man, I meant to make that stuff, and the full moon's gone. But usually when I make it, I sell it almost right away. I'm almost out. And I just made it this November's full moon. So, but anyway, it's called Full Moon Negative Energy Removal Spray. It smells divine. But this is what it looks like. This is a 2-ounce bottle. And I, of course, we have the infused white sage distilled water, but I add lemongrass, rosemary, frankincense, mint, and sandalwood essential oils. And of course, it has the moonstone crystals. And in the bottles, I have a little crystal here as well. So I have it in the 2-ounce bottle. And I also have a 10 millimeter per size. And they sell really well. Like I said, I don't have a hard time getting rid of them, because usually when I make them, they're just about gone. These are just about gone. So if you want some, you better order it now. But anyway, this is what it looks like. Again, you can go to my website, and where it says shopping, you can look on there and order this. And again, I don't ship outside the USA. So if you live here in the United States, wonderful. But yeah, this is great stuff. Made during the night of the full moon. And I'm not making any tonight, because like I said, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bottles left. And I think I counted 8 of the small bottle. I did an event over the weekend, and I sold a good bit of the small bottles. But anyway, or you can, make your own. You don't have to buy it from me if you don't want. You can make your own. Just take some loose white sage and get some distilled water or purified water, and take like a big handful of the sage and stick it out overnight. Make sure you put a covering over the bowl so that bugs or any other debris from outside won't get into your water. So that's all good information. And my candle is just burning, and my I think I might have to light my my tablet. I don't think it caught like it should have. Sometimes you may have to do it for a long time. Just let the fire from the lighter just hit it for a couple of seconds. It should be going. Yeah, now I think it's going. Oops. It should be. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's going now. It's going now. I got it going. Yay. Yeah, on the tablet you'll see the light kind of flickering all around the tablet like it's dancing. It's really cool to watch. But yeah, now, and my candle is burning, burning, burning. And we'll get more into, I love to do candle magic. And we'll get more into that later, on how to read the flame, what it's trying to say. That's why it's really important not to have ventilation or fans going while you're doing your candle. So there were things that I wanted to talk to you about. The tarot cards. Every day we're gonna do something with tarot cards. And I have a story to share with you. I posted it on Facebook, but I'll go ahead and talk to you about this because I know some of you YouTubers don't go on Facebook, or you don't see me on Facebook. But I've been reading tarot for over, I don't know, since 2011, I guess. And years ago, I bought a deck of tarot cards, and I used them. And that's what I was using to read tarot for my clients. And I started turning my tarot readings into a business. And don't ask me how I did that, because I just got blessed, with people coming to me for readings, and I needed to make money. And so I thought, well, charge. And I met other people that read tarot cards or do read tarot cards, and they did the same thing. I mean, they figured out how to turn it into a business. But anyway, I had these cards, and I've always had them. And a friend of mine told me a long time ago, she said, the cards are alive. They have feelings. I thought, okay, I think she's smoking something. And turned out she was right. There's energy in the cards, I guess is the best way to put it. There is energy in the cards. And so I was using these cards, and then one day I saw these beautiful cards. They were Angel Tarot, and I just had to have them. And on the Angel Tarot, on every card, at the bottom of the card, it had a little description of what each card meant. And I thought, that is just gorgeous. I have to have these cards. So I got the cards, bring them home, start working with my clients using those cards, and I could not read them. I mean, I'd be reading for my clients and just like kind of try to wing it because I couldn't read the cards. Even with the description on what the card meant on every card, I still couldn't read it. And I later, this really puzzled me. And after about 2 weeks, I heard my spirit telling me that the original cards that I was using, they were very jealous. Go figure. And at first I thought, well, that's just silly. I don't believe that. That's stupid. And and I continued to try to use the angel cards, and I still couldn't read them. I ended up giving the angel cards to somebody else and brought the old cards back, and guess what? I was back to reading like normal again. So I got the message that the original cards, which is called the Dreamer's Journal deck, they did not appreciate being pushed to the side. They were very jealous, and they wanted to be a part of the action. So ever since then, those cards and I have always bonded. They've always been there with me. As much as I love other cards, I mean, I can buy oracle cards, but every reading I did, I had to include the Dreamer's Journal. And so back in September, this woman came to me, and she's a very lovely lady. She came and I read for her, and she's a medium. And she said, okay, you read for me, now I'm going to read for you. She said, I'm going to pay you for your reading for me, but I'm not going to charge you for my reading to you. And she told me some things that really struck a nerve regarding my family. And I even started crying. And then later, a friend of mine was needing some help with some mediumship, and I told her about this woman, and I connected the two of them together, and she helped my friend a good bit. So about 4 or 5 days ago, I got a call from her, and she said, I need to tell you that my spirit guides and angels have a message they want me to give to you. You have to get a new deck of tarot cards. You need to get 2 decks of tarot cards. I was like, what? That's not going to happen. And I told her about my cards. She said, well, your cards right now, they're not very, they're not as accurate as they used to be. And you need a new deck of tarot cards. So it's like, okay. And what was funny about it is I had done a reading several weeks prior to her giving me this message. And I remember when I finished the reading and I was gathering my cards up to put them away, I had this feeling, it was just a weird feeling that something wasn't right with the cards. I can't describe what it was. So I said, well, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll go. I said, I saw some cards online. She said, no, you can't get them online. It has to be in a metaphysical store. I said, well, I'll go up to Barnes and Nobles. And she said, no, you can't do it at Barnes and Nobles. It has to be in a metaphysical store. Funny thing was, I have a neighbor that lives below me, and she's a real nice Christian woman, and she every once in a while goes to this little store a couple of miles up the road, if even that far. And she was telling me about it. It's called Fluff Mud Mercantile. And she's telling me all about it, telling me that, oh, you'd probably like it. And I looked it up online, and it just looked like a place that sold Charleston-oriented stuff, where I live, like a tourist kind of place. And so I kind of blew it off. And then I needed to go into a metaphysical store a couple of weeks ago. And so I was looking at metaphysical stores here in Charleston, and this Fluff Mud Mercantiles showed up. So I went in there, and when I went in there, they had crystals and essential oils, and it was a metaphysical store. And I was like, oh, and I was just gravitating to the crystals. And the lady that owns the place, I could have sat for hours and hours and just talked to this woman. And she had tarot cards. And I even mentioned her, oh, you have tarot cards. She said yes, that she had just started bringing in tarot cards just a little bit. So when my friend was telling me that I had to get these cards from a metaphysical store, I said, well, I just discovered a metaphysical store a couple of weeks ago down the street from me. She said, well, there you go. Go there and get them. And I did. So the next day, I went and I got these cards. And these cards just spoke to me, and I brought them, bought them, was getting in my car, and I heard Spirit tell me the old cards. It was okay what I was doing, not to feel guilty, because I felt like that I was betraying my original deck, that I was not being a true friend. And I heard Spirit say, it's okay. They're tired. Your cards are tired. they don't want to do readings anymore. So I got home and I got my old deck and I sat at the table with them and parted way. I thanked them for being helpful to me and to all my clients, and wish them well, hope that they get the rest they need. And I put them in a special cloth with some white sage and some crystals, wrapped them up, put them in a place close to where I do my energy work. And so they're resting. And so I got some new cards. And I'll share those new cards with you because we'll do a card. And I will tell you, I've been doing readings, and actually I'm actually offering readings all through December with these cards. I generally charge $89 for a reading, but all through December, I'm breaking my new cards in, and I'm doing readings as a pay what you can. So if you want a reading, all you got to do is get in touch with me, text me, email me, whatever, and make an appointment. And it's pay what you can. It's all you just pay whatever you can. So, and that's worked well. As soon as I put that out, I had people calling me left and right. So anyway, I've had a good time using my cards, but I still use, I never have read the book. Anytime you get a deck of cards, it always comes like with a little book, and I don't typically read the book. But with these cards have a beautiful twist to them. I mean, they all still mean the same as like the typical Rider Waite cards, but these cards were a little different, and the meanings, they have to me it was like an uplifting, beautiful spin to the meaning that was already there. So I will read from the book for this. Something tells me I just need to push my computer over a little bit. All right, and I'm smelling. I've got this beautiful fragrance on this tablet. I don't know if you can see it. I'll show you where it's at so far. And my candle is melting. And I'll show you. I've been holding it to the side. Yes, you can see that the smoke from the meditation blend is smoking, and it smells divine. Honey, who needs to go buy incense when you got that? So anyway, we're going to draw a card, and we're going to go over the meaning of it. Because like I said, I've had, over the years, I've had a lot of people tell me they want to learn how to read tarot. And I've tried every way that I could think of. I've tried doing Zoom. I've tried doing it online. Even tried Patreon. I've tried all kinds of ways. And it just never really worked out. So I thought, well, I'll add it into my Third Eye Connection show. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm going to pick a card. Let's see, this one's kind of standing out to me. We're going to go over that card and what it means. The moon. The moon card. I drew the moon card on the night of the full moon. What a night. Oh my goodness. Is that magic or what? That is totally, totally awesome. Would have never thought that to happen. So I'm going to put these cards back in their box. So I try to, oh, this candle is burning. It is burnt. It's almost burnt completely down. It's going crazy. It is really going crazy. Wow. Yes, please see, I want to show you. This is what happens when you add herbs and oil to your candle. This is a big flame, and I have my charcoal burning next to it, and it dropped a piece of the herbs onto the charcoal, and the charcoal caught on fire too. This is the reason why I tell you, please stay with it. Do not leave this unattended. And also, make sure that, like, see, this whole thing is on fire. So I may have to, we got 2 flames going here. Huh. We'll see what happens, because that should just burn itself out. Oh, goodness. Wow. I don't know. I may have to go and douse some water on this. I think I'm going to have to do that, because my fire alarm's going to go off any moment. Hold on just a sec. I'll be right back. Whoa. Wow, so that was very interesting. I had to take that outside. The flame was just going everywhere. I didn't even put it in my kitchen sink. I put it out on the cement outside, and I poured a little water over it, and the flame did go out. But not only did the flame go out, but the candle burnt all the way down too, which is unusual. So, thank you for your patience. If you're still here with me, I just didn't want to burn my house down. And that is why it is so important that when you're working with candles, or even with the herbs on those tablets, you've got to stay with it. Do not leave that unattended. That should be a lesson in itself for you. If I didn't teach you anything tonight, I taught you that. So the moon card, let's take a look at that. Isn't that interesting? We drew the moon card on the night of the full moon. So I'll tell you my take on the full moon. When you see this card, the moon card, it's a major arcana card. And when you see this card come up in a reading, when it is upright, it tells me that you're having some, that you have made peace, or that you're having some difficulties with change. We have certain beliefs and behaviors, traditional thoughts that have been passed on from our parents. And the best example, and I am not anti-gay or whatever. I mean, I don't care whoever's having sex with who. That's not what this is about. But for some people who maybe grew up, I'm just using this as an example. But for some people that grew up in a traditional family where homosexuality was absolutely forbidden, and you did not do that, or you were going to go to hell, and all kinds of things. if somebody had, if somebody was in a situation like that and they were still in the closet and afraid to come out of the closet, because of the beliefs and the traditions that they had been taught, um, then this is when the moon card would show up. Okay, and this would be telling me that um, they have not come in contact, or they're afraid to step over. The moon card, again, remember the full moon is about releasing energies, certain energies that are no longer serving us. So let's just say that I was reading for somebody that was in the closet and they were scared to come out of fear of what the family would think, and neighbors or whatever, because that was what they were brought up to believe, that they're going to go to hell and they're not good and there's something wrong with them. They're hanging on to those very harmful thoughts, beliefs, behaviors that are keeping them in the closet, which is causing depression, paranoia, all kinds of crazy stuff. So when you see the moon card come up, that is a sign for you to let go and release whatever it is that you need to release. Let it go. Behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, let it go, because it is not serving you. It is not helping you in your life. Even me, with the fear about rent and money and being homeless, that was a fear. That was fear driven. This is a perfect time for me to draw this card, because that's an energy that I have to release and let go of during this full moon. This is the time to do it. Now, I want to read in the book what the author of these cards says about it. That's my take on it. When I see this card, it's like you're trying to move forward. And also look at the pictures of the cards. I can't help but think about my old deck, the picture in that card of the moon. But you see the wolves. During the moon, the full moon, that's when the wolves are out, howling. But you also see the butterflies. Do you see the butterflies in this card? And there's kind of a mask. This person has, there's a light around the abdomen and the heart area, but there's also a mask over the eye, a gold mask. Looks like maybe some horns coming out. And so the wolves, they howl at the full moon. And so when the full moon comes out and you're hanging on to an energy that is no longer serving you, that is like the time to howl it out, like the full moon. But it's like, you just release it, howl it out if you have to. Let it go. And that mask, it's like you see, but you don't see. The veil has been removed, but some of the veils are still there. It's time for you to release all the things that are blinding you around the circumstances so that you can move forward. So that's what you got to do. And when you do that, guess what? You metamorphosize into a butterfly, and you're finally free to fly away from all the pain and misery that fear has been holding you down with for a long time. So what an appropriate time to get this card, right? So let's look what the moon, what this person says about the moon card. If I can find it. Let's see. I think that's really cool, though, that I pulled that card. The sun, the star. It's got everything but the moon. Okay, the moon. Feeding off the hope of the stars. The moon comes next to enchant skeptical minds and illusions of subliminal fantasies. The moon dimly lights the sky as a figure distracts the viewer with a light of their own. The figure and their companions are reflections of the various aspects of your mind. Their glow is alluring as they flutter in hypnotic patterns between the conscious and the subconscious. When the moon appears in a reading, it often points to an emotional difficult period. There is light, but it only shows pieces of the path. Illusions from your subconscious may rise up to cloud your way, but be mindful and expose them with your intuition. So how spot on is that? I'll read that again. Illusions from your subconscious may rise up to cloud your way, but be mindful and expose them with your intuition. Expose those illusions with your truth. Stand in your power. Stand in your truth. And be true to yourself. And then when you do that, you can't go wrong. You're free. You're free. So I love this card. I love this card so much. So it is time for my show to be over. I really hope you enjoyed it. I will be back again tomorrow. This is going to be a daily thing. But I'm very sorry that we had that little incident with the fire. Got to have a little excitement going on here, right? So, but the fire is out and all is good. My candle burnt down. I will read the message in the wax when it finally solidifies. And again, if you would like a reading this month with my new lovely cards, you can get that. All you got to do is just go to my website and call me or text me, email me, whatever, to set up a time. I only do this in the United States. If you want to purchase the negative removal energy spray that's made on the night of the full moon, you can do that. Go to my website and it will, under shopping, you can find it. And also we have the meditation herbs that we talked about. The meditation herbs for the full moon that has the herbs of frankincense, rose, hyssop, orange, and sage. See, that's what it is. So I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all. Bye-bye.